There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dr. Ruben West. I'm here on the Voices of Change show, where we find voices from around the world that not only create change in their own life, but they create change in the lives of others. And boy, do I have a special guest for you today. Now, this guest I'm bringing on today, his name is Wendall Graham. He's from Alabama. He's a businessman. He's a consultant. He's a husband. He's a father. But most importantly, he's a time advocate. What do I mean by that? He's a person that advocates for time. And you know what he says about it? Don't ever waste it. Don't be casual about it. Don't be nonchalant about it. You better know how to use your time. And so I'm going to be bringing on Wendall Graham, but here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about what you're doing with your time. When you hear Wendall Graham share this message, talk about this story, answer these questions, I bet it's going to spark something in you. He drops a lot of nuggets. He drops a lot of information that you want to retain. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to get your paper out, your pencil out, your iPad, your notepad. I want you to have something to take notes. Why? Because the hand is the digital recorder for the mind. And he's going to say a lot of stuff that I'm going to want to remember, and you're going to want to remember. So whatever you do, get your pencil out. In about 15 seconds, I'm going to be bringing on Wendall Graham, but I want to give you a chance to invite somebody to this show. Now, I don't say that often, but I'm saying it today. Invite somebody, because I guarantee, listen to this, I guarantee, promise you, I guarantee it's going to be life-changing. Here he is, our guest, Wendall Graham. Hey, Wendall, how's it going?
Dr. Ruben West, how are you, sir?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you for being on the Voices of Change show. Now, you're in Alabama, correct?
That's correct. I'm in Mobile, Alabama, right here on the Gulf of Mexico. Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Well, we got people tuning in. They're going to be with us. Wendall, this is a hard-hitting show. This is a show where we get to the brass tacks. I mean, we want to get behind the scenes, the stuff that most people don't know and most people wouldn't share, because I believe that's the information that changes people's lives. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
And so as we get started, one thing I know about you is you had an experience where your life was literally spared.
Yes.
But before we even get to that experience, you had another experience with your mother.
Yes.
And so before we even get to your experience, because I'm going to tell that, but before we even get to your experience, Wendall, you were in Alabama. You traveled from where did you travel from? Up to Mobile. You came from?
I traveled from Huntsville, Alabama, where I do a lot of my business.
Huntsville to Mobile, and just take us from right there. You just talked about this before we went live. You told me the story. Tell the audience what happened.
Wow, talking about being caught off guard with a story. Yes, I was traveling down from Huntsville, Alabama to Mobile, Alabama to bring my daughter down to pick up her car. When I got here, I was only going to be here for maybe 2 or 3 days. But when I got here in Mobile, from Huntsville, which is about 5 hours, I visited my mom. I visited my sisters, and my mom was doing well. I took her something to eat. We talked like we always talk. And the next day, I hung out with my brother-in-law. Well, when I hung out with my brother-in-law, I received a phone call that my mom wasn't feeling well, that she was having shortness of breath, and that and it was really serious. I was approximately 1 hour away from her. So I asked my sister again, is this an emergency? She said, yes. I said, immediately call 911, call the ambulance. The ambulance came. My mother did not want to go. She was actually begging and pleading with me because of this coronavirus, this COVID-19. Please, I don't want to go to the hospital. I'll be okay. I said, no, Mom, you're having shortness of breath. They took her to the hospital. Well, if you have a family member in the hospital, you very well know that you cannot visit them. Well, while she was in the hospital, she became increasingly worse. As a matter of fact, she was in the hospital with about 3 days without the medication that she normally receives. Well, the doctor called me, and the doctor said, Mr. Graham, we have a problem. Your mother is in, what? Let me back up. My mom knew she was in bad shape about the 3rd day, and she called out. She called me, she called my sister, she called her twin sister and said, please get me some help. Well, we started calling the hospital in a frantic and said, hey, listen, my mom is on the 3rd floor. She needs some help. Get over there quick. When they got there, she was in very serious condition. They immediately took her to CCU, critical care unit. They told us that she was in really bad shape, that her organs were failing, that it didn't look good for her. And they kept, informing us that it didn't look good. And finally, the doctor got on the phone. And when the doctor got on the phone, Dr. West, he said something that I don't think anybody would want to hear. He said, Mr. Graham, your mother is in bad shape. She's not doing well. Her organs are failing. We have a little bit of time to put her on life support. I didn't know what to do. I said, wait a minute. My mom went in because she was having shortness of breath, and now you're telling me that she's going to need to be put on life support? It's not making sense to me. He said, Mr. Graham, I understand, but this is the situation. What do you want to do? I said, can I see my mom? He put the nurse on. The nurse said, yes, Mr. Graham. It sounds like to me that you're deciding not to go with the life support. I said, no, that's not it at all. I want to see my mom. They said the only way you can come up into the hospital is if it's for a comfort visit. A comfort visit is to spend the time with your family for the last remaining moments or minutes or hours on this earth. I had to make a decision. I got back on the phone with the doctor, and the doctor said, Mr. Graham, you have to make a decision. You have approximately 45 minutes to make this decision.
Wait a minute, Wendell. Wait a minute.
Yes.
You're saying the doctor told you that you have 45 minutes to make the decision, and tell me what you were deciding between.
I was deciding between life and death. I was on the verge of deciding the fate of my mother, whether she would live or whether she would die, whether we would put her on life support or whether we would just let my mom fade away. This is the information that the doctor told me. And I only had 45 minutes. And I had to make that decision. I sheltered my family because I didn't want them to know the decision that I was having to make. And I said, at that moment, Dr. West, what would my mother do? She would want to fight for it. She would want to give her a chance as she gave me a chance. I said, doctor, go ahead, put her on the life support. Put her on the life support. Let's give her a chance. I had to decide at that moment. We put her on life support. Well, let me speed the story up just a little bit, Dr. West, for the sake of time. She stayed on life support. And during this time, my hair grew out like Don Cornelius. I didn't shave, as you can see. I was going through all kind of stress, and we were just having a time. And we decided that we were going to pray. We went outside the hospital and we prayed. We were on our post. We knew this is amazing. This is going to peel your muffin cap back, Blue, Dr. West. The nurses, we wanted to know what floor my mom was on. They said the 3rd floor. We said, look out into the parking lot. It was a total of 10 people out in the parking lot. We're waving at them at 7 o'clock in the evening when shift changed. They're waving back at us. They were going back to my mom and whispering in her ear, your family's out there. And we knew that we couldn't get into the hospital, but we could send the word. So we sent the word through the nurses. The nurses in turn walked down the hallway. They opened the door and whispered into my mom's ear. See, sometimes in life, you got to be tricky with your problems. You can't face them like the normal way you might face them. They whispered into my mom's ear, your family's praying for you every single day until today. 2 hours before I talked to you, they called me with a FaceTime call from the hospital. And every time they call me with a FaceTime call, my heart jumps through my throat. And I said, what is it this time? They said, Mr. Graham, we have something for you. They panned the iPad around, and it was my mother. And
come on now.
Dead. And her eyes were open. And she said these words. Woo! I'm going to throw this phone. She said, son, she said, Wendell, I love you.
Come on now. Come on.
Dr. West. She said, Wendell, I love you. Let's go back. Life support. Making a decision. Live or die. Give her a chance. She lived. She fought through it for me to hear her say, I love you. I don't know what you're fighting for. I don't know why you took me in this direction, Dr. West, but I know somebody out there in virtual land. They're fighting for something. They're on the verge of having to make a decision. Give yourself a chance. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't fold.
Now you guys see why I had to have Wendell Graham on the Voices of Change show. Like I said, it's not only people that have made changes in their life, but it's people that have made changes in the lives of others. That is a phenomenal story. It's a real-time story. And watch this. It's an on-time story because there's somebody right now that are trying to make a decision on what to do next. And what you said is give yourself a fighting chance.
That's right. That's right. Dr. West, they're trying to decide whether or not their goals, their dreams, or aspiration should be put on life support or they should die. I'm saying put them on life support. I'm saying don't let your dreams die. Don't let your goals die. Don't let your aspirations die. Give them a chance. Resuscitate them. Clear and resuscitate
Come
your
on
dreams.
now.
Even in the midst of COVID-19, even in the midst of all of this stuff that's going on, I shouldn't be on this show right now. I should be somewhere with a bottle in my hand. I should be somewhere in a room rocking back and forth. But I decided that I was going to push through and share this message. I didn't know I was going to share this message, but I believe that that whoever's hearing it under the sound of my voice needed to hear this. Resuscitate your dreams.
Come on now. Somebody put that in the feed. Resuscitate your dreams. Listen. Already you can see what kind of interview this is going to be. Wendell Graham swings for the fence every single time he picks up the bat. So do me a favor, share this video. I don't care. You're not sharing it for me. You're not sharing it for him. But you know there's somebody that needs to know that they can put their dreams on life support. They don't have to send them to the graveyard. They don't have to let them die right now. That they can give them another chance. And so do me a favor, just share this video. And when you share it, put must listen. When you share it, put must listen because we're just getting started. I'm just getting good with Wendell Graham. Go ahead.
Add this in. Let me add this in. When you're told that the organs are failing, when you're told that there's nothing that we can do, when you're told that the person is of a senior age, you begin to question whether or not. But I'm going to share this with you. Somebody has told you that you're too old. Somebody told you that your organs are failing, that you didn't have that degree, that you didn't matriculate, that you didn't go through the universities. Somebody told you that something in your life was a failure, that it didn't work, that your childhood. But I want to share this with you. Even though they told you that your organs are failing, that your life is a failure, that you are a failure, put it on life support. Give it a chance. All I had to do was say yes or no. Listen how quick it is. Yes or no. If it was yes, if it was no, then there was nothing else I could do. But if it was yes, I gave her a chance. And 2 hours ago, approximately 3 hours ago, she said, Wendell, I love you.
Come on now, Wendell Graham. This is amazing. I'm hyped over here. I'm fanning in my shirt. You done got me worked up over here. Listen, thank you for your truth, your honesty, and your transparency. I've got to ask you a question here. You know, I heard you speaking. And when I heard you speaking, you talked about when you were a young man.
Yes.
And that you loved working on the railroad.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay. Let's go back about 27 years. 27 years, it was September 1993. And during this time, I was working for the National Railroad Passengers Association, Amtrak. During this time, I had a trip. I worked from New Orleans, Louisiana, all the way to the beautiful sandy white sands of Miami, Florida. New Orleans, Louisiana to Miami, Florida. That's a vacation and a vacation any way you cut that. And for 5 straight years, I never missed a trip. I loved this particular trip. I mean, the dome car was a car that you could look out of and you could see a panoramic view of everything around you. It was an absolutely spectacular trip. Now, during this time, 5 straight years, I never missed a trip. One particular night, I was supposed to go out to work, and my sister called me that morning, and she said, "Hey, brother, how are you doing?" I'm good. She said, "What are you doing today?" I said, "Now quit playing. You know I go to work today, Michelle." And she said, "Well, listen, I have an idea. Let's go fishing." I said, "Fishing? We haven't done that since we were kids." She said, "I know, but I really would like to go." Have you ever sensed somebody wanting to talk to you and just bond with you? Well, I sensed that, so I obliged. I said, "Okay, let's go." We loaded up and we headed down to our favorite spot. We got there to our favorite spot and we were just fishing. And to be honest with you, it was a beautiful time. I mean, the ducks were on the water. There were lovers walking hand in hand. And to be honest with you, the mosquitoes were biting more than the fish. Well, time started to get away from us. And I said, listen, I have to call the crew-based supervisor to see if, the train is on time, because I had to travel from Mobile to New Orleans. And so I called the crew-based supervisor, and he said, yes, Wendell, the train is on time. I said, okay, let's wrap it up. And I said, let's go. So we wrapped it up and we headed home. Well, when I got home, I made another call because I hated to sit around and wait. I said, is the train, called the crew-based supervisor again. I said, is the train on time? He said, yes, Wendell, the train is on time, but wait. He said, there's somebody here that's going to take your place. I said, no, wait a minute, that's my trip. I was young and single. I was ready to mingle. I was ready to get down to Miami and enjoy myself and have a good time at the sugary white sandy beaches of Miami, Florida. He said, no, Wendell, you misunderstood. You can stay home, but you'll still get paid for the trip.
Oh, come on.
Dr. West, that appealed to me enormously. So I said, okay. I took a shower, went to bed, and about 2 a.m., my phone rang. Bring, bring. Hello? Wendell, where are you? Mom, I'm at home. What's wrong? Wendell, oh my God, son. Oh my God. Turn on the TV. Turn on the TV, son. Oh my God. I knew something was wrong, and I grabbed the remote control and I'm pressing the button, and I turn on the TV. And every time I pressed the channel, the channel would change, and it was the same thing. Special report, special report. All I saw was big plumes of diesel smoke and flames fill the night sky. And at the bottom, I saw Amtrak train crashes into Bayou Canot, the Mobile Bay. I couldn't believe my eyes, Dr. West. She said, your train is in the water. Your train is in the water. I stood straight up in the bed, looking down at my feet, thinking that I was in water. I literally thought I was on the train that night, but my train had crashed that night. Dr. West, 47 people died that night. 47 people lost their lives. But see, I wasn't one. I didn't make my trip that night. The person who took my place died, but I was here. And as I was here, Dr. West, I had to make sense of what happened. I had to make sense. Why was I still here? Why didn't I make my trip that night? And then I made a vow, as many of us have vowed. I said, God, for sparing my life, I will not be irresponsible with the time that I have left. I will not be irresponsible with the time that I have left. I vowed that I would be the best father, even though I didn't have children. I would be the best husband, even though I wasn't married. I would be the best son. I would be the best friend, the best business owner. I knew nothing about business. I was working for the railroad. I was a seasoned, lifetime railroader as far as I was concerned. But God had another plan for me. He had another course that I was going to take. I would not be irresponsible with the time that I have left. And so I set out on a course to change lives, to inspire, to motivate, to encourage, to help people, to show them that we do not have the luxury of time that we think we have. We don't have the leisure of time. We are transitory, passing through this life. We don't have the luxury of time to wait. I will not be irresponsible with the time that I have left. Dr. West.
And you said that night, 47 people died.
47 people lost their lives, Dr. West. 47 people, friends, engineers, passengers, and these people, the passengers and the crew members, they took them and they lined them up on a barge. And if you look at that picture, if you can see, if you pull it up, Dr. West, I don't know if you have it, but you'll see that there's a space right there in between those bodies. And I know some may not think that this is something that they would want to look at, but it's a reminder to me that could have been me. 27 years later, Dr. West, I am here. I am changing lives. I've traveled. I've been on stage. I've written books. I've done all the things. I've started businesses. I've given away more than I've ever collected. I'm benevolent in the sense that I want to see everyone win. And if you want, if you work with me, if you decided that you wanted to talk to me, you'll see that I give 100%. And it's not for show. It's not for money. It's not for fame. It's because I literally know, not to sound cliche, but I literally know that you have something on the inside of you that has not been tapped into, and it needs to be activated.
And so I heard you say, Wendall Graham, when you were in Greenville, South Carolina, I heard you speaking, and I heard you say that you have made a commitment to do it for the 47. Just tell us what you meant by that.
I do it for the 47. Every morning when I wake up, without fail, I do it for the 47. I wake up. You see, some of those people, passengers, they had lives. And I know they had lives, and they had goals, and they had things that they wanted to do in life. And so I started helping people with business. I started helping people in life coaching. I do it for the 47 because it inspires me. I do it for those who couldn't make it, who didn't make it, those who died that night, those who would have been something in life. I do it for them. And I would be irresponsible in my duties if I sat down and said I was tired. They don't have an opportunity to be tired. I'm sleepy. They don't have an opportunity to be sleepy. 27 years later, I have three beautiful children. I have a beautiful wife. I've started multiple businesses. I've traveled all over the place. I do it for them. I've started businesses and literally handed them, brick and mortar, handed them to people who said that they wanted to start a business. I know many don't agree with that philosophy, but I can't take it with me, because you'll never find a hearse traveling behind a U-Haul traveling behind a hearse. We have to leave it and deposit it into other people in hopes that they will do it for someone else. I don't know about you. I can't speak for you. And excuse me for screaming, but I have to scream it to the mountaintops. I don't know why you do it. And quite frankly, I don't care. But I know I do it for the 47. You find your why. You find that thing that makes you wake up in the middle of the night. You find that thing that makes it so you can't go to sleep. I do it for the 47. When you find out why you do it, you'll call me and you say, Mr. Wendall Graham, I have connected with my why, and I do it for ? Whatever that thing is, you do it for that. And let's meet at the water what they call the water cooler, and we'll discuss it at that point.
Come on now. You see, I told you guys, I told you it was going to be a powerful interview. I told you it was going to be a powerful story. But what I also told you is that there's somebody out there right now. There's somebody out there right now that needs this message. Do me a favor. Do them a favor. Share that message. Hopefully you're posting your takeaways, because your big takeaway can be somebody else's big breakthrough. Make sure you're writing down your takeaways. Yes, Demetria Bird said you'll never find a U-Haul traveling behind a hearse. It's absolutely correct. Rosetta West, my mother, said, who are you doing it for? Yes, this is absolutely amazing. Let me ask you this, Wendell. I heard you speaking, and every time I hear you speaking, I have my pen close by. And there's one thing I learned, to have a backup just in case that one doesn't write, because I don't want to miss anything. Yes. But one of the times you were speaking, you said this, and I'll never forget it, and I want you to explain it. And you said, a lie told at the right moment. Well, you tell them what you said. You know what I'm going to say. Tell them, and then explain it, please.
Yes. A lie told during a moment of vulnerability or weakness sounds just like the truth. A lie told during a vulnerable time in your life, a weak time in your life, sounds just like the truth. You can't differentiate. You can't distinguish from the two. So you have to be careful that when someone is counseling you, see, you can't let the wrong people try to tell you the right thing. Can't.
Come on. No, say that again.
Tell you the right thing. They're not going to do it. You see, some people are predators, and what they do, it's that parasitic host relationship that we talk about. They attach themselves to you to drain the life force out of you. Come on, somebody. They will attach themselves to you to drain whatever life force you have in you out of you. And you see, the funny thing about a parasite, Dr. West, is that it has it has an enzyme that deadens the skin, that causes the blood not to coagulate. And what it does, it allows the blood to flow freely. And what that is that lie going in so they can get all of the life force out of you. You see, a lie told during a moment of weakness sounds just like the truth. That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with people who are of a like mind. They said, the book says that you try the spirit by the spirit. Many of us are putting our confidence and our trust in the wrong people, and we keep wondering why we keep getting the wrong results. I'm going to submit to you today. I'm going to put you on notice out there in Facebook land. I am putting you on notice. Check your crowd. Come on. They say in the South, they have a song that say, check yourself for ticks. I'm going to say, check your crowd. Check the people that's around you. Because some people, the only reason why you have not elevated to the next level, the only reason why you have not elevated to the next level is because you believe the lie. You believe the lie that it'll never work for you, that you'll never succeed, that you'll never make it. A lie told during a moment of weakness sounds just like the truth. Let me just say this too, and I'll dismount. This is
go ahead. Go ahead. I love it.
During this corona season, whatever this thing is that we're in, we're weakened. Our immune systems, because we're worried. We're not getting sleep. We're not working like we're supposed to. But our jobs are being cut off. We don't know what tomorrow holds. But listen at this. Somebody's going to get on the TV and they're going to tell maybe it's in politics. Maybe the politics. Listen at the politics. I'm sorry. But sometimes they will tell you something and you believe it hook, line, and sinker. I'm telling you, surround yourself with people who are proactive, doing things, moving forward, and we're not paying attention to all of the background noise. We will make it, but a lie told during a moment of weakness sounds just like the truth.
What did I tell y'all? Like I told you. Bridget said, you can't let the wrong people tell you the right thing. Rosetta said, watch who's coaching you in this season. Mike Freeland said, say that, sir. You can't let the wrong people tell you the wrong thing. Come on.
Yes.
You know, somebody says, say it loud for the people in the back. You know what I'm saying? I love it because he's always giving you this real truth. Right. He's always giving you this real truth. He had Mike Freeland put in there, said, politics. I'm taking that. Oh, yeah, politics. You know, they're always trying to manipulate us, Wendall Graham. I got something else I want you to explain. You're going to learn today how much I listen to you.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
You're going to learn today how much I listen to you. We were in South Carolina, and you made this statement. And when you made this statement, I was going to write it down, but the statement was so good, I didn't need to. I knew I would never forget it ever. And you said you could be fooled by a good feeling. You remember that statement?
Yes.
Please, I don't want to tell it. I want you to tell it. And then I want you to explain, because I want them to understand why I just take notes every time you're talking. Usually I don't have to write it, because once I hear it, I got it. But just tell them that and then explain that too, because it was so powerful when you said it.
Well, we live in a day and age right now where everybody wants to feel good. You know, and we often, refer to this age as the microwave age because we want it fast. We want it now. But sometimes in life, you can be fooled by a good feeling and left feeling like a fool.
Come on now. You got to get there. Come on.
By a good feeling and left feeling like a fool. And so what that leads us over to our emotions. Are we being led by our emotions, or are we being led by logic? You see, thought is one of the most powerful forces in the entire universe. And as a man thinketh and believe in his heart, so is he. But listen at this. We could be fooled by a good feeling, and then we could be left feeling like a fool. How many times have we, now let's keep it real. I'm going to keep this as real as I can and PG at the same time. How many times, ladies, how many times, men, have we been fooled by a good feeling and left feeling like a fool, because our emotions will lead us down a road that will embarrass us, that we oftentimes don't return from. So are you being led by your feelings? Listen, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. How many times, Dr. West, have you coached somebody, but they didn't feel like participating?
Come on,
right?
now.
And sometimes what we do is we are led by our feelings, but what we must do is we must see that, just like the tongue. Let me say this, and I'm gonna throw you the ball. I'm gonna pass you the mic, Dr. West. But the Bible teaches us that our tongue is a small member that leadeth us, just like the rudder of a ship that leads the ship. Sometimes we have to monitor what we say to the extent that we have to act like our own tongue is a visitor in our mouth. We have to monitor our tongue to the degree that we can't let ourselves say anything. I wanted to say, it's over. I wanted to say, I quit. I wanted to say, I give up. I fold. I bend. This is it. I can't take no more. But every single time, I do it for the 47. So I remember that I could have been at the bottom of Bayou Canot. I remember that 47 people didn't make it, but Wendall Graham did. So I say, I do it for the 47. You better get yourself a mantra. You better get yourself a mantra. You better get something. You better tell yourself that when it gets rough, that you better remember this thing and remind yourself that you can make it and that you can push through this thing. Dr. West.
Yeah, I told you it was going to be powerful. And what I know is that there's some people out there that they'll listen to you. They don't know me. They don't know Wendall Graham. They didn't see my post when I put it out there. So when I put it out there, they didn't know that he was going to be on. And even if they did, they didn't know what he was going to say. But here's what I know. If you post it and you say, hey, listen, must listen, life changing, they'll listen. So share this video. Don't share it for me. Don't share it for Wendall Graham. He's doing it for the 47. He knows why he's doing it. Remember, this show is what's your why? Like, he wanted to ask you, what's your why? Why do you do it every day? What gets you up? What makes you take action? And guess what? There's somebody out there right now that is asking the same question, and they need this video. And so I want you to share this video. Wendell, what do you say to the person that says, hey, you don't know what it's like for me. I was a business owner and this Corona hit and now it's changing everything for me. And I'm thinking about throwing in the towel. What do you say to that person?
The question is, you don't know what it's like for me. And you know what I would say? I really don't know what it's like for you. I would allow you to share with me what you think it's like for you, because what we need is a paradigm shift. You may think that it's bad, but once you hear what bad really is, you might have a paradigm shift and you may be able to readjust and refocus on what the most important thing is. Yes, it's bad. Yes, let's go ahead and get that out the way. Let's go ahead and clear the room. Let's go ahead and get address the elephant in the room, as they say. Yes, it's bad. Now what you going to do? See, you got two choices, yes or no. You see, when my mom was there on her deathbed, and I'm going to call a thing, when she was on her deathbed, the doctor only wanted to hear one or two questions, yes or no. And my question to you, do you want to live or do you want to die? Yes or no. Do you want to succeed or do you want to fail? Yes or no. Guess what? I do it for the 47. I got a lot of people to work with. I don't have a lot of time left on this earth. I'm 53 years old. I only got another 50 to 60 years left here. So I want to work with the willing. Yes or no. And the reason, I'm not offended if you say no. I'm not offended if you say no, because it moves you down out of my way to work with the yes. So I may have to go to 10, 15, 20 no's to get to the yes. In sales, we learn something. Never confuse a business refusal with a personal rejection. I'll say it again.
Woo!
Never confuse a business refusal with a personal rejection. Oftentimes, you don't know me in the first place. And if you got to know me, you would like me, because to know me is to like me and to love me. But the reality of it is that I don't know what it's like for you, but I got two questions, just as they asked me pertaining to my mom. Yes or no, Mr. Graham? Isn't that a lack of empathy? Isn't that a lack of sympathy? Yes or no? Come on, we got other people up here. I'm sharing with you today that you got two questions. Yes or no? Do you want to live or do you want to die? Because people are dying every day, and they're going to put you in a line. And they're going to say, yes, right over here. They're going to back up a refrigerated truck for the dreams and the goals and the aspirations that are dying over there. But for those people who want to live, it's Life Support City. Come on, Clear. Come on, defibrillator. Come on. We need some CCs or something. I don't even know what kind of CCs we need, but we need to shoot you up with something. But the question is, I don't know your why. I don't know what it's like for you. I don't know what it's like for you. But what I do know, that you have to make a decision. Yes or no. It's simple as that. Do you want to live or do you want to die? It's a lot of people out here that can help you live, but you can go anywhere and die by yourself.
Man, this is powerful stuff, Wendall Graham. So, I know that you are a serial entrepreneur. You had a barber shop. I think you maybe had a restaurant, all kind of different things that you were doing. And I would imagine that, and I don't know because different cities are experiencing this different ways, but I would imagine that it has affected your business somehow. Tell us about the businesses that you have or had or what you did and are doing and how this virus or how this pandemic has affected what you're doing.
And Dr. West, if you would allow me to give you a blank stare with a pregnant pause. Listen, I'm going to stutter my way through this as best I can. I am a service-oriented entrepreneur. Everything I did was service-oriented, okay? Everything I did. So barbershops, multiple barbershops, beauty salons, transportation service where we transported patients to dialysis. We did that 3 days out of the week. Construction. Well, as soon as they mentioned COVID, I don't know if there was a clause in construction contracts or not, but they immediately canceled all my contracts at the beginning of the year when COVID hit. So I had no more construction contracts. After that, things started getting a little bit tricky with the health department and barbershops and beauty salons. So they shut the barbershops and the beauty salons down. So now we got construction. I wasn't worried because I said, at least I have these other multiple streams to back up on. I can fall on these other multiple streams because I always learn that if you get 7 to 10, you're good, you're okay. And so as they began to dry up, I started getting worried. I was like, wait a minute now, hold on somebody. And so the barbershops and the beauty salons started to shut down. And so transportation was shut down. And so now I got all of this brick and mortar that's just sitting there. And I don't have any revenue coming in. And so if you know the story of Elijah, I was living off of supernatural resources around this piece. I mean, I had to put pieces together. When I live in 2 cities, I live in 2 different places I live in. And so it worked for that season. But guess what, Dr. West? I'm so glad you asked this question. You are sharp. Listen at this, Dr. West. Many of us are trying to go through 2 things. One is rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is to return you to your former state of being. Let's look at that. Rehabilitation is to return you to your former state of being. But this is not the season. I'm not a doctor, neither do I play one on TV, so I'm not trying to tell you if you got some kind of substance problem not to go to rehabilitation. I'm talking about life issues right now, me and my life. Rehabilitation is to return you to your former state of being. But I realize in this season, I don't need rehabilitation because I have a sneaky suspicion that we may not be returning to normal business as usual. What I need in this season, not rehabilitation, I need recreation. I need reinvention. See, sometimes you have to look at the resources that God gave you and reinvent yourself and move into another direction. You have to reinvent yourself and recreate. In the book, it says that know ye not that ye are God's children of the Most High, that you endowed with similar characteristics to create. Be and let it be. So we have the ability to create. So let's look at, should we be rehabilitating? Do we think that we're actually going back the way that things were? We may very well do that, but it's going to be a while. So we have to look at God. What do I have in my hand? What did God tell Moses? What do you have in your hand? What do you have in your hand right now? I know if nothing else, Wendall Graham can run his mouth. I know that I'm quick moving, fast thinking right down to the modern day times. I know that I am innovative, that I'm creative, that God has given me a spirit to fight. And above all, I know that I do it for the 47. That's my why. So armed with those tools, the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the sword, the feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I will make it. But I can't do it in rehabilitation. I have to reinvent and recreate. Hopefully I answered your question.
Come on now. There you have it, you guys. Look, we can shut it down right now. We can shut it down right now. He said, look, it's not going to come from rehabilitation. It's going to come from reinvention and recreation. Very, very important, because you said something, Wendy. You said we may go back to the way things were, but even if we do, it's going to be quite some time from now. And I think you are absolutely right. Bridget said, yes, Lord, he can run his mouth. That must be someone who knows.
Sister Bridget, I love you, sister.
Is that the one that asked you to go fishing?
No, that's Michelle. That's Bridget. Bridget is a motor mouth herself, but we'll get on that another time.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So, Wendell, now you said, hey, I've got to figure out a way to reinvent myself or recreate myself in this time. What do you think is the holdup for people that are finding it difficult to move in a new direction? I mean, there's people who really get stuck. What do you think it is that gets them stuck?
Sometimes you have to get out of your own way, and it's fear. We can just go ahead and say that it is fear, but it's conditioned too. It's conditioning. Let's talk about conditioning just for a second. Sometimes we get so familiar with where things are. Who moved my cheese? We get so familiar with where things are that we use muscle memory to do our jobs, right? We don't even have to think about it. You ever look at somebody that works in a factory, at a grocery store, or whatever they do, they're not thinking about it. They're actually having a conversation with you, and they're moving muscle memory. They know where everything is. But the minute you move something out of place, then they're lost. But they weren't thinking creatively. They were using a system that they had developed that was working for them, conditioning. What have you been conditioned to do? Maybe you have a degree. Maybe you went to school. Maybe you have specialized training in an area. You relied on that so much that you're thinking now that you can't do anything else. But this is what you have to do. You have to put yourself in a difficult situation. I will say this, Bridget, if you're listening, my Uncle Ben was a young man. He got stabbed in his head with an ice pick. He got stabbed in his head with an ice pick. He was 17 years old, maybe 18 years old. His sisters told me, this is my older uncle, that they would wheel him out in his wheelchair because he couldn't walk. He couldn't use his legs. They wheeled him out in a wheelchair and they left him there. They wheeled him out maybe about 100 yards away from the house and they left him there. And he had to, he had to get up and walk. And so he got up and walked, and he dragged himself to the house because he was hungry or he was thirsty or whatever the case. That sounds cruel. But sometimes, let me frame it up for you. Sometimes you have to put yourself in a difficult situation in order to find out what's on the inside of you in the first place. Many of us have not been challenged, but when you're challenged, you find out what's on the inside of you. So for those of you who are out there in virtual land and Facebook land, wherever you are under the sound of my voice, I want you to hear me and hear me well. I want to serve notice on you. You have to put yourself in an environment that's conducive to growth. You're going to have to team up with people. You cannot do this by yourself. If you hear nothing else that I said, you cannot do this by yourself. You cannot do this through isolation. You cannot do this thinking that I'm going to make it, I'm going to rebuild by myself. You're going to have to team up and link up. Before I got on this call, I heard some information that literally just shocked me. It was of large numbers. And I said, wait a minute, let's talk about that instead of doing this show. And the person said, no, we'll talk about that at a later date. But listen, I didn't have that information. I don't know. Listen, a little birdie didn't just, nobody tied a note to a pigeon's foot and threw it out the window and I found it on my ledge. I had to talk to somebody else who had this information. My point is this. You have to link up with other people who have information and resources, the very thing that you're looking for in life, the very thing that you need, somebody is trying to give away, but they can't get to you and you can't get to them because you are on the island. Get off that island and link up with some people.
Come on, Wendall Graham, get off the island and link up with some people. Let me tell you this, if you're listening right now and you have a group or an organization that, in my opinion, is looking for a powerful speaker to come in and transcend or transform the mind or transcend the current way of doing things, what can I say? I mean, I think Wendall Graham is phenomenal, and I think you'd be doing yourself justice to bring him in. If you have a show and you're looking for a speaker, I think you'd be doing yourself justice to bring him on, because what I can guarantee you is you're getting the tip of the iceberg. What I can guarantee, that well is deep. Sometimes I call him just to get his information, just to get him going, and I take notes. And then when I go speak, I use his stuff. I just like to get him going. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm telling you, if you need that speaker, this is the person that you want to look up to. But look up. I'm sorry, to bring in Wendell. You also do slight edge consulting.
Right.
And I know you're making some adjustments. Of course, it's during the midst of the pandemic, and you're doing some different things, and you're in Mobile, and you were taking care of your mom, and so. But one of the things I know that you do is slight edge consulting, and what you talk about is you help your clients gain the slight edge.
Yes.
And there may be somebody on here that may want to look you up. They may want to talk to you about it. Tell us about that coaching. Tell us about that.
Okay. Now, slight edge was birthed out of the vow that I made to God that I would not be irresponsible with the time that I have left, and also to help as many people as I could. Remember, I said that I was going to be the best businessman that I could possibly be and help as many people as I could possibly help. And I had no training at that time. Again, this was 27 years ago. But what I realized about human beings, about people, is that you have approximately 85% of what you need already on the inside of you in order to be successful. I'll say that again. You have 85% of everything you need on the inside of you already in order to be successful. God gave that to you. I got to take no credit for that. God gave that to you. But it's dormant. It's on the inside. The slight edge that I work with is only 15%. Now he's like, wait a minute, I need help with the 85. No, you already have that. If you have a voice, if you have the activities of your limbs, if you have a brain, if you can think, then you already have 85% of what you need in order to be. 15% is the slight edge. So what we do with slight edge is we take whatever that talent, gift, and ability. See, what it is that you're only one click away from being successful, just one click away. Have you ever met somebody with so much talent, so many gifts, so much ability, and you say, man, it seems like you should be a little bit farther along than you are? The reason why you aren't is because you can't see the gifts that you have. We take those talents, gifts, and abilities, we come up with a strategy, an action plan, and you have accountability. The reason why you don't get any farther than you are is because you don't have accountability. You don't have somebody to hold you accountable for the things that you say you want in life. And what happens is that that person begins to want it more for you than you want it for yourself, and then you give up. But what if you had somebody that pushed you beyond your limits, pushed you and encouraged you? Slight edge consulting takes whatever, it's a la carte, it's catered to your particular business. Whatever that 15% is, we do what's called a comprehensive need assessment. We get some information and we find out what your goals are. I can't tell you what your goals are. You share those with me and we work on those. And I use my gifts as well. The intuition and the other gifts that I have in order to listen and to hear those things that you say you want and show you how to get to the next level. So, but in short, we do a lot of things like with small businesses. Again, the landscape of business has changed with feasibility studies and market analysis and helping you find the financing that you need in order to start your business. So right now, I am also in the process of recreation and reinventing. But with that being said, I am here with Slight Edge Consulting to help you take it to the next level.
I love it. I love it. I got to say, you're one of the most creative people I know. And I think a lot of times with consulting or a lot of times with coaching, that works, but it works even better when there's gifting. And what I mean by that is it works even better when the person that you're working with is using their gifting. And so I do believe that you have a special gifting that you use with your clients that helps them gain the slight edge. And that's your secret weapon. So I do want to say that. I want to ask you this. You said you're in the process of reinventing yourself. What's next for Wendall Graham?
What's next for Wendall Graham? Wow, that's a great question. Right now, where I am is at the crossroads. And what I mean by the crossroads is that I have to use everything in my arsenal. Where I may have had goals with brick and mortar, I'm now moving toward virtual, in terms of Wendall Graham, the virtual. For example, as well as you, Dr. West, we had speaking events lined up. Going to Africa, and we were going to
all kind of stuff. Yeah.
If I could have made it to Africa, it would have been a repeat visit, going back time and time again. I know that, but that changed, and so now we've leaned toward the virtual. I have not been very active in social media, and a lot of people haven't seen me. And for those who have not seen me, I love you. I have not disappeared, but what I had to do was incubate for a minute. I had to go into an incubation. Incubation is not a bad thing, because I had so many things going on with family, so many things going on with business, and being stretched from one end of Alabama to the next. I had to incubate and try to heal and try to develop some new skills that I need in order to go to the next level. So now I'm leaning toward virtual. I'm leaning toward doing whatever it takes to be successful in the virtual world. So hopefully that answers your question.
No, I get it. I get it, because in the end, we have to not only recreate what we're going to do, but we also have to recreate the way we've been doing things. Like, there's a lot of stores that have had to adjust to doing things virtually, doing delivery out on the curb, having people call in orders, and just creative ways of doing business. And what's great is, if you're a problem solver in this time, it's going to open up a lot of doors for you, because there's people with problems that need solving. And so that's a great thing for this time. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Let me say this, and I know time is winding up, and I want to get this out here. And I want to look right into the camera. Hopefully I'm not looking off at an angle. I'm talking to you. Do not let anyone make you feel like you're crazy for your gift. Dr. West said something that triggered something in my brain. You have a gift, and other people will not understand your gift. They'll try to question as to why. How did you get this knowledge? How did you get this gift? How did you get this talent? Don't let people make you feel like you're crazy or you're insane for the gift that you have. A lot of people are intuitive. They know things without people even telling them. And so what they do is, when a person tells them something that is other than the truth, they sense it. Don't let people make you feel like you're crazy for the gift that you have. You know what you have. You know what you know. God sent you here to the planet with a gift. That gift is to be exercised. As a matter of fact, my mother said this. She said, son, I believe God has given everybody a gift, and that gift is supposed to make you money. That's what my mom said now. She said, your gift is supposed to make you money. An underdeveloped gift and an undiscovered gift will keep you broke. An underdeveloped gift and an undiscovered gift will keep you broke. You have a gift. The question is, have you discovered it, and have you developed it? And if you have not developed it, that's where we need to start. Let's develop the gift, because a person with intuition will be able to easily identify and recognize your gift and say, okay, let's work on this. And then once you work on that, you get strong. And once you get strong, your confidence grows. And once your confidence grows, you become an expert. So don't let anyone make you feel crazy for the gift that God has given you.
Listen, so powerful. And that was right on time. We have a few minutes left of Wendall Graham. I'm going to speak to the audience real quick, and then I'm going to come back to you for your closing thoughts. And they can be whatever you want them to be. That's really just up to you. But let me talk to the people that are listening right here. What I love about what he's saying is he's transparent. He told you why he gets up every day and does what he does. He does it for the 47. He realizes that day could have been his last day. But somebody took his place on the train, like literally said, I want to go in your stand. As a matter of fact, Wendell, how much money did you make at the time? How many dollars an hour? I know it's a different year, it's back in 93, but roughly how much money would you have made in that trip? How much money going back and forth?
The trip was about $450.
Do you realize that God brought your life with $450?
Woo.
Right? You understand? He brought your life with 400, because the real reason you decided not to go is because he said, look, you ain't got to come and you're still going to be paid. Because if he would have told you that, no, there's a guy here that wants to take your trip, you would have said, no, I've got to come in because I got to what? be paid. I'm working. This is my job. But because he said you're going to still get your $450, even if you don't get on this train, you were willing to not get on the train. God purchased your life back with $450. And now you are committed to going out and doing the work. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have work to do. And there's somebody that needs to hear this message. I'm just going to ask you one more time. If you didn't, take time to share this message, because I really believe that it will change someone's life. Wendall Graham, I want to give you the final word, the final thought, and it's whatever you would like to say to this audience, whatever is laid on your heart that you feel like you want to tell them. Feel free to share that.
First and foremost, Dr. West, thank you so much for inviting me on. And man, I tell you, you're an excellent interviewer. You allow your guests to share and to flow. And I thoroughly appreciate that. But there are three things I want to leave with you, to your listening audience. And that is, find your purpose, of course. Find your purpose. Find your cause. Find your belief and what gets you out of bed. Find your purpose. Find your cause and find your belief, your purpose, whatever it is, whatever your purpose here on life is, whatever that purpose is. And if you don't know what your purpose is, link up with somebody. If you're sincerely interested in finding out what your purpose is in life, link up with somebody to find out what your purpose is to help you do it. What is your cause? Fight for something. Fight for something. We fought for my mom. We fought in the parking lot praying. We were in the rain praying. And listen, so if you don't believe in prayer, believe in the craziness of prayer, where somebody will go and tell your mom that they're praying. That's faith. And when she heard that, them fools out there praying in the rain, bless their heart. And so that was a cause. We fought for a cause. And today I heard my mom say, Wendell, I love you. Music to my ears. Your belief. Your beliefs are your belief. I would never frown on your belief. You believe in what you want to believe in. But if you don't believe in anything else, believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it. Believe that you have talents. Believe that you have gifts. Believe that life, that you weren't put here on this planet for no reason at all. Believe that this is your time. Thank you, Dr. West.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Wendall Graham, he baked the cake and put the icing on it, so there's nothing left for me to say. I just want to say to you, Wendell, thank you for being on my show. I appreciate you. I knew it was going to be great. I knew you would be transparent. I knew you would give them the truth. I knew it, and so that's why I had to have you on the Voices of Change show. You're a powerful guest. Thank you for sharing your information. And to the people out there that tune in this weekend, every week, I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening to the Voices of Change show. Tune in next week when we'll have another voice of change, someone that not only is focused on making a change in their life, but is also committed to making a change in the life of others. Until we meet again, I'm Dr. Ruben West, and we'll see you next time on the Voices of Change.